Hello, and welcome to my midterm debriefing for EDTC 6332. I'm Maria Ng, and I look forward to sharing with you where I'm currently at in my project for this course. What's the ultimate goal for this project? The ultimate goal of my project is for students to show mastery of the topic of interactions among plant systems by earning a score of 80% or higher on the final course exam. This topic and goal were determined for my project by analyzing last year's biology STAR end-of-course data. When I pulled the data, I went through and I identified the weakest reporting category. From there, I identified what the lowest scoring tech was. This led me to identify the topic of interactions among plant systems as the area of most concern and realize that this was a unit that needed to be focused on to help improve students' overall performance on this upcoming year's biology end-of-course exam. Our district goal is to have 100% of our students pass the end-of-course exam at the final phase-in standard. Last year, 66% of our students were able to attain this goal. I am hopeful that implementing this course as a support for our students will help us to improve that number. By the due date, I hope to have the project completed and have a representative group of students complete this course. Due to the timing of the end-of-course exam and the due date of this project, I will not be able to use our actual end-of-course as a gauge for the success of this project. So instead, I'm going to use our benchmark exam to measure the improvement of scores rather than the official end-of-course data. This may end up working to my benefit as our benchmark is in fact last year's released end-of-course test. So I hope to use the data from this benchmark exam to evaluate the effectiveness of the course. So what is my instructional solution looking like at this point? So far, I really think that this instructional solution is falling into place very nicely. I'm housing my instructional solution within Blackboard course sites. I've created an announcement that will welcome students to the course and direct them to the Start Here page. So I've created the Start Here page, which will give the simple instructions on how to navigate through the course. This course will have 3 modules. These 3 modules will cover the 3 major interactions between plants that students will need to know and be able to understand in order to be successful on not only completing the assessments in this course, but also what they will need in order to be successful on the end-of-course exam. In each of the 3 modules, there's going to be multiple steps for students to complete. Each module will have an overview. The overview is going to explain what is going to need to be completed in order to get credit for completing that module. There will be a Student Expectations and Vocabulary tab. On this page, it will outline the information that will be delivered in that module and will also give the students key vocabulary and their definitions that they will need to know in order to help them to be successful. I've even suggested that maybe they make flashcards to help them review and learn these terms. There will also be a notes page. So this first one for Module 1 you can see is Transport Notes, as that's what this unit is over. So on each notes page there will be one of 2 presentations of the notes. There will either be a video lecture over that module, or there will be written text notes supported by images to cover the required content that was outlined in the Student Expectations page. Each module will also contain an interactive video lesson. I opted to use the tool called Zaption for my interactive videos. Zaption takes YouTube videos and allows you to turn them into interactive lessons. So in each of these interactive lessons, I've embedded supportive text overlays, and I've also put in questions for students to answer as they watch the video to reinforce the learning that they are getting from not only the notes page, but also from the video itself. For each question, they will receive feedback as to whether or not they answer the questions correctly. And I will also give them feedback as to what the correct answer was if they missed it and explain why it's the correct answer. I think this will be very beneficial to support the student learning. So what am I looking at for my end product? I've got a little bit of more work to go to get the final end product that I'm wanting. I'm still needing to put the notes in for Module 3. So those have to be uploaded. All 3 units are still missing the assessments. So I also have to create the final assessment for this course. I've got my question bank. It's just a matter of inputting them into the electronic format that I'm needing. So really overall, there's not a whole lot left for me to do to get that final product. So I'm very hopeful that I am on a good course to having this project completed on time. So what lessons have I learned over the course of completing this project? Quite a few. First, and I think one of the most important lessons I've learned is to really think about the scale of my project. Initially, I wanted to take on the entire district as the interactions among plant system was the lowest scoring unit across the board, but I quickly realized that that was quite a lofty goal for this class. So I opted to narrow it down to my campus, as that would be a much easier goal for me to manage, and it would be a lot easier for me to assess if that course was in fact contributing to student success and for me to get feedback and evaluations. I also learned a really big lesson that creating an accurate timeline is of utmost importance, and making sure that timeline is accurate from the very beginning of the project. And then once you have that timeline, make sure you stick to it and don't get behind. So I think creating that timeline really begins with understanding your project management tasks and your product production tasks. My initial timeline was mostly product production tasks, and that posed a problem because if you don't consider the project management tasks, you may severely underestimate the time that will be required to complete the project. So when I realized my error, I found out I was actually quite a bit behind where I needed to be because I was not identifying those project management tasks and taking that time that I would need to do those into consideration. So luckily, I was able to work really hard, and I'm actually currently still using spring break to catch up on all that work. So on that note, time management ties in with this, and time management is a very important thing to consider on large projects such as this. Balancing work, your course loads, family can be quite a task, so it's important to find balance with that. So, make sure you're asking for help when needed, make sure you're using your time wisely. And one thing that allowed me to do that is to build on previous knowledge and resources that I've gained from previous experiences and previous classes. I had initially thought about trying to use a new tool for this project, a new LMS, but based on time constraints and the scope of the project, I pretty quickly realized that that would not be the best idea for this course. I knew that that would cause a delay, as I'd be trying to overcome a huge learning curve trying to learn this new system. So I adopted to instead use course sites as I had used it in a previous course. So I built on that knowledge and used that to build this course. And that was a good idea, because then when I did get hung up, I forgot how to do something, I was able to contact Dr. Corbet to give me guidance and tips and clarification on areas that I was struggling with, as he was the instructor that initially taught me how to use course sites. So, project deadline coming up, and deadlines always seem to come much quicker than we think they will. But that being said, I am fairly confident that this product will be finished by the deadline. I'm working to have these modules finished out by the end of the week. Spring break is giving me a great time to try to catch up, since I'm be able to focus on schoolwork and I don't have my job on top of it. I plan on checking in with my stakeholders over the next 2 weeks to get feedback on their opinions of what the project is looking like, and make revisions based on their suggestions. And once I've made those revisions, I will have a group complete the course again prior to our benchmark, and have them take the data from those students to evaluate their success on those plant unit questions that will be on that exam. So as far as other questions or concerns that have come up for me, I guess for me, the timing of the due date of this course was a bit of a concern, as this 6 weeks is pretty heavy on testing. It's that time of year, so we have both STAR tests and benchmark testing going on top of just the regular unit tests that students have. So in addition to that, a lot of my students are in credit recovery, which is an after-school program that they are in to help earn back credits that they did not earn that first semester. So very, very busy time of year for the kids. So finding time to get students to complete this course and getting feedback might pose a little bit of a challenge. So I'm looking at one of two things. I'm either going to look into checking out computers and having those in the classroom to get a group of students to complete that lesson, maybe on an afternoon after testing is over, get them to give me some feedback. The other thing I'm thinking about is, since it is academic and something that will support students in their learning and help them be successful on their benchmark test and end of course exam, offering some extra credit for students that will complete this lesson on their own time at home, and then provide feedback for me to improve this e-learning module. So as far as concerns that would pertain to the entire class, again, I think the biggest, most important thing that people really need to realize is that accurate timeline from the beginning of your project is probably one of the most important items that a student can have to start off. That timeline will give you a view and a layout and a roadmap, really, of how much time you're going to be needing to spend week to week in order to complete your project on time, allow you to properly plan out your day and your week, and schedule work time to make sure that you have an on-time completion. And sticking to that timeline is of grave importance to keep you on track and not overly stressed or behind, or trying to play catch up. So that's it as far as my midterm debriefing is concerned. I hope that I was clear on my goals and where I'm at, and things that I think would be beneficial or helpful for my fellow classmates or future students to think about as they go through and engage in completing their own projects. I appreciate you listening in, and have a great day. Thank you.